What's up, everybody? If we haven't met yet, my name is Will Paxton. I have been a musician for 20 years, and I've been recording my music and the music of others for about 10 of those years. Today, I want to do a behind-the-scenes look at a song off of my latest release, Hymns Reimagined Rock. The song is called All I Have Is Christ, and it is originally by a group called Sovereign Grace Music. And this is a song that I reimagined into an 80s rock vibe. So this is, if you haven't been keeping up, this is a part of my Hymns Reimagined project, where I've taken and asked several people what their favorite hymns were and what their favorite genre of music was. And so this happens to be a friend of mine from church. His favorite style of music was 80s rock, like Def Leppard type stuff, and his favorite hymn was All I Have Is Christ. And so the original is, it's a modern hymn, so it was written pretty recently, within the last 20 years or so. But the original is a lot slower. It's a little more, I guess you could call it worshipful, but to make it 80s rock, it's going to have to make a big adjustment. Anyways, so that is the story behind why I chose this song. And so you'll hear a lot of 80s elements, like some soaring vocals, there's a guitar solo with some harmonies in the guitar solo. There is some gang vocals, and then some like kind of synthy type stuff that is highlighted in this particular song. So anyways, with all that being said, let's dive into the song here. So the song just starts off with a little simple intro, drums, bass, and guitar. There's two lead lines, one to the left, one to the right, and this is how that sounds. So nothing too fancy or special there. Let's highlight some of these guitars here real quick. So the lead line literally just follows the melody of the chorus. So here we go, let's listen. So yeah, pretty simple. And then once we go through that, let's hop into the intro, just the synths. There's some bells and some brass going on here. Let's see what that sounds like. There's a couple of cool elements like that throughout the song with the synth going on. That I think that gives it a lot of 80s vibage going on there. Anyway, so the first verse sounds like this, and I'll point out stuff as I see fit. Here's what that sounds like.
I was lost in darkest night. You thought I knew the way. Listen, that promised joy and light. It led me to the grave. I had no hope that you would own a rebel to your will. And if you had not loved me first, I would refuse you still.
So yeah, that's the first verse. Little elements that change throughout. So you have this clean guitar going on throughout the whole song. It's just kind of a reverb, chorus, delay kind of guitar. I thought it turned out pretty good. I like how it sounds. Then when the second half of the verse comes through, I add this brass synth part. Let's see. So it goes like this. And also, the bass comes in and it has this arpeggiated rhythm to it. It's just the power chords being arpeggiated. This is what that sounds like. And then the second verse is a little bit shorter, and it introduces some driving guitars, and the bass gets a little more heavy. So I added a distorted bass underneath at a lower volume to accentuate the bass a little bit more, get some more highs out of the bass. And so this is what that sounds like all together with just the bass, the guitars, and the brass. So we had this guitar swell going into the chorus. This is what that sounds like, just a little stereo guitar swell. I think I did a separate guitar swell and then just panned them left and right. And I think one's high and one is lower. It's on an E minor, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, so one's a power chord down low, and then the other one is a power chord up high. So then, let's see, we'll go through that second verse as a whole with the vocals and all.
But as I ran my hellbound race, indifferent to the cost, you looked upon my helpless state and led me to the cross.
So yeah, that's the second verse in a nutshell right there. And then the chorus, we introduce some more stuff. So the guitar rhythm is very simple here. So this is all that's going on in the chorus, other than drums and stuff like that. And I also add a background vocal element to it, called a gang vocal, singing Hallelujah and Yeah. So here's the guitars, just a real snippet there, the guitars supporting the chorus. So that's the chorus in a nutshell with the special parts. We got the gang vocals accentuating yeah and Christ and yeah and life. And then the guitars are doing simple stuff there. We're just in a simple 6/8 groove going on here. So this is what the chorus sounds like all the way through with all the elements. We'll do the swell in and everything. Here we go. So then it gets a little more drivey. The guitars continue to do a driving rhythm, but there's also a clean guitar in the middle. And then the second half of this verse is one of my favorite parts of the whole song, just some cool rhythmic elements, and we'll get into that in just a second. But this is what the verse starts off like. A few things going on there. The guitars and the bass have this driving element going on, but then there's the little guitar, the clean guitar in the middle that is doing something really cool too, just almost arpeggiating the chords. So this is what that sounds like. So then going into that next part, the guitars and the bass, two of them are going with one rhythm and the other two are going with another rhythm, and that's probably why I like this so much, because there's kind of a distinction between the left and the right and the center. Almost a call and reply, but not quite. But this is how that sounds going into that second half of the verse right here. So yeah, one's going do 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 da do 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 da do 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 da do 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 da, and the other one's going do ku da ku da do ku da ku da do ku da ku da. So it's kind of this cool contrast of rhythms going on between the left, right, and the center, and it's just one of those parts that gets me banging my head every time I hear it. I love that part of the song. Anyway, so the entire verse together sounds like this.
It's my life, and I don't care God's love display. You suffered in my place. You bore the wrath you deserved for me. Now all I know is grace. And I would be yours alone and live so alone and see the strength to follow your commands. You never come from me.
So then going into the next chorus, we add harmonies on Hallelujah, and then the gang vocals. Originally, this looks like a lot of tracks, but originally I had a whole lot more. I think I recorded like 16 of each individual part, and so I had like 100 and something tracks, which I condensed this down when I remixed. I remixed it because I originally had recorded this in 2023, in the fall of 2023, and I put this together to be released this year in January. I think I remixed it last November, and I took most of those tracks out, so I've got 73 tracks instead of it was like 120 tracks. I had way too many, and it sounds, I think, better with the lighter track count. I was able to mix it down a little bit easier. Okay, so going into chorus 2, let's highlight some of the synth parts, because it does get kind of cool. And the synth follows the melody of the song with the bells, and there's some just cool kind of uplifting kind of sounds going on. So this is what that sounds like. So that's what that sounds like. That sounds late 80s, early 90s to me. So I think I did a fairly decent job of replicating that sound with the BGVs, the gang vocals, and the harmonies that are going on. This is what the chorus sounds like right here.
Hallelujah, all I have is grace. Hallelujah, Jesus is my life. Hallelujah, all I have is grace. Hallelujah, Jesus is my life.
So on those gang vocals, I added a delay. So it's like, yeah, yeah. Christ, Christ. Yeah, yeah. Life, life. Kind of a cool vibe going on there. So the entire chorus sounds like this, with the guitars and all. Got doubled on both sides, guitars, a little bit of bassage and drummage. Here's what that sounds like.
All I have is grace. Hallelujah, Jesus is my life. Hallelujah, all I have is grace. Hallelujah, Jesus is my life.
So yeah, there's two guitars playing the rhythm and two guitars that are playing along with the melody. They're doing a melody and a harmony. So they're basically doing what they're doing in the beginning of the song. This is what that sounds like. A little snippet here. A little swell. So from there we go into the instrumental. Just kind of a little building section, and then the guitar solo, which is a dueling guitar solo. For the first half, both guitars are playing the same thing, and then in the second half, they are playing harmony with each other, which is fun and a fairly 80s move, I think. So this is what the build and the guitar solo sounds like. Pardon all the noise, there's a lot of wind going on outside. I think we're scheduled for some heavy weather tonight, so my shed is not sound treated yet. Hopefully one day I'll get there. But anyways, back to the song. So there's an introduction of a tambourine, which looks like I've already had it throughout, but it becomes a little more prominent. We got a tambourine shake. Here we'll do bass, tambourine, and the solo. Get a feel for that. We'll do the swells in there as well, and we'll throw the pad. Let's try that. So in the first half there's no brass. In the second half the brass comes in to accentuate some stuff. This is what that all sounds like right here. So those two solo guitars continue on, and there's a cool sound. Some of it was accidental, like I just hit record and kept going. And so let's take the vocals out. And so a lot of this I would have to listen to a lot to replicate just to get it the way that it was on the recording, but it's a little like pull off type things going to the open E and all that stuff. So this is what that sounds like. We'll do the clean guitar in the middle, doing kind of the same thing that the clean guitar was doing in the verses. This is what that sounds like. Little pick slide. I'm using my Chapman guitar for this, and I don't have a whammy bar. It's got a place for a whammy bar, but I don't have a whammy bar that would fit in the slot. And so I used a pocket hole bit to actually whammy it and get that sound. Kind of silly. Anyways, so that section right there, the guitars are doing some cool stuff, little building and some interesting stuff there. So this is what that sounds like. So yeah, that's some cool little guitar stuff that's going on there. Then we go into the second to last chorus, which is fairly similar to the rest, and then there's a surprise at the end with some added rhythmic elements. So we'll go through this chorus real quick, and you'll see what happens. Be a bit of a surprise, so let's go into it. So something I forgot to mention, which is an obvious something I need to mention, is the leading into right here, My Only Boast Is You. The vocals go with the guitars, and that's kind of the feature of that section. Everything's building, and so I think that's also an 80s move that... Here we go. Let's just listen to it.
Only boast is the hallelujah.
So yeah, I think that was that's a crowning point of that section of the song. And as you can hear, my voice is not doing too well. I hit some notes that I didn't know I could hit, and I couldn't talk very well for a day or two after recording these. And you can kind of hear the strain in my voice, especially in this section. So we'll go ahead and play into the final chorus here, and I'll show you a couple of elements that were added to this chorus as well once we get through it.
Jesus is my life. Hallelujah. All I have is grace. Hallelujah. Jesus is my life. Oh, hallelujah. All I have is grace. Hallelujah. Jesus is my
So, as you can tell, there was a modulation, so we go from G to A, and you can definitely hear the strain in my voice. So there's leading into that chorus, the last chorus, one thing I really like to do between sections is a transition piece, cymbal swells, reverse piano, reverse guitars, so you can hear the transition well, and it accents the downbeat of that transition. So this is what that sounds like. Little reverse guitar and reverse cymbal. A couple of elements that I want to highlight here. The guitars, there is these little dotted delay guitars. So those are some cool parts, and then also in the synth section, you can hear the bells replicating the melody of the chorus. So here's what that sounds like together. So yeah, those are some cool little elements, and then also the bass, the little bass part there. That's like the only part that the bass does anything flashy other than in the second verse, where there's kind of the arpeggiated bass. But I really enjoy this part. Just one of my favorite parts of the song as well. Just a little boo-doo-boo-doo. Real fun. We'll play out the chorus here. I'd like to say, if you enjoy this sort of content, please consider liking and subscribing and sharing. And I will also be making 2 more videos on this project, the Hymns Reimagined Rock project. I've got 2 more songs that I want to do behind the scenes on. The next one will be A Mighty Fortress, which is, it's going to be a totally different style than the original. The melody is different and everything. And then The Love of God, which is my favorite song on this project, not only because it was a culmination of my favorite elements of rock, but it also features my wife as a lead vocalist and one of my best friends, Jonathan Gaston, doing a preaching part. And more on that when we get to that song. There's some cool, you could call providential elements. But yeah, until then, I'll play out with the ending here, and I hope you guys are doing well, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.